to this episode of Philanthropy United. We are joined today with Nicolee Thompson of Harvest Compassion Center. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Tell us how you started Harvest Compassion Center.
Yes, Harvest started almost 10 and a half years ago. So it was post-recession, right? When things were struggling, families were hurting, jobs were, minimal. Kind of what we see today during COVID times. I kind of felt like we're having a flashback a decade ago. And at that time, we just really felt there was a need to help these struggling families. Yeah. So our nonprofit's actually been open for over 17 years, but we had not done outreach work or social service work in Phoenix, where my parents and I now live, and we will not be leaving Phoenix. So we wanted to impact our neighbors, local neighbors, those people that we see on the street when we drive every day. I had friends myself losing jobs, and my husband was in the construction business, and we also closed the business as well. So we just kind of knew that world. It was a really tough time. And my dad was the one that said, I think it has to be a food bank. And I said, okay. And then my mom said, well, if we do food, we have to do clothes. And I said, I don't think there's a rule about that, but I'll go ahead and figure this out. So I actually was a teacher, and I was teaching junior high and high school English and having babies. And so I had my summer off, right? And I waited in line and went to every food bank, clothing closet, anything I could find on Google, basically. We would just show up. I'd wait in line. And really, I just say kind of feel, listen, smell the good, bad, and different, all those different places. And from that, we put together the Harvest Compassion Center model, where we did want to be much different from those that I had visited. We wanted to be, a first class, one-stop shop is what I call it. And so we kind of came up with the phrase food banking reimagined, because it's not a typical food bank. Although I have to say, we're a food bank, so you're like, well, I don't know who you guys are and what you do. That way our clients know exactly, we have free food and free items. But besides the food, hygiene and full-size hygiene products, super important, right? Baby products, super important, diapers, formulas, wipes, clothing, super expensive, super important. These are all just the basics that we use every day. So our mission is to have all of these at that one location. So it really is that one-stop shop, almost like a super Walmart, on a much smaller scale, where people can get to us and not waste a ton of gas money, waste that bus pass, or maybe walking, a couple miles, and truly get all of their physical needs.
I remember what stood out when I first met you is that you guys did accept clothes, and I had a bunch of clothes in my car that I was going to take to go donate. So then I went and I grabbed them and I brought them to you, because all my stuff is nice stuff. It just didn't fit anymore. And I was like, that's really, really great. But then the other part that I loved was that there's not all these hoops to jump through to be able to get your services. You guys will accept anyone, and it's no questions asked,
Absolutely.
right? And that's a huge differentiating factor from most food banks or clothing or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, and there's rules in life. I get it, and the way we get around that, I'm going to say, is we have no government funding or government food that comes in our centers. So because we don't do government food, which is a huge, pass, that's a lot of product we're saying no to that could really help us out. But that also comes with some qualifications. So we just said, that was one thing I learned 10 years ago, was that I saw somebody wait in line for an hour. And then when they got up to the checkup, they're like, sorry, wrong zip code. And it was like something that small.
And they had to imagine having to be the person saying that.
Yeah, and they had to wait that long. And of course, then there's some choice words. And there's nothing loving about that moment. And I'm like, yeah, we don't want to create that in our centers. So anyone who walks in, and it's humbling to walk in a door and say, hey, I need some help, looking around, who are you people, but I kind of need some help. And so, awesome, let's get you checked in and get you shopping, no questions asked, and we'll let people that walk in look like $1 million. We're like, wow, they look way nicer than I do. But you know what, you want to look good and feel good. It doesn't mean their situation is much better than any one of us, and people try to hide, right? That they're hungry, they're in need, they need some help. So we just want to, hey, we see you right away, we love you, and come on in and let's go shopping. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so how many locations do you have now?
So we have 3 locations now. So,
wow.
Yeah, so we are in North Phoenix, which might be the one that you visited.
Yes.
That was our original one. So, which is East Thunderbird and Tatum, behind the PV Mall area.
Okay.
And that's interesting too
Because that's getting completely revamped.
it is, yeah. So I'll stop saying the whole mall thing, right? In about a year, it'll be like,
it's gonna be a whole new development.
where the mall used to be. Yeah, keep on going. But that's zip code 85032, and that's the top underserved zip code in the entire state of Arizona.
Right next to Paradise Valley.
Yeah, and Scottsdale. I mean, they're
It's
across
right on the
street.
border of
It's
Wow.
everything.
Yeah, and
Phoenix,
so-
Scottsdale, PV.
people are like, why are you even like here? You know, and so really our job is to educate everyone that walks in, all of our walk-in kind donations and donors and volunteers of like, this is actually the one area in the state that everyone assumes, right? Nobody needs anything in this area of town. Well, of course the opposite is true. You know, there's patches everywhere in the state. So that's why we planted there first, and then we have a heart to plant in those top underserved zip codes. So Maryville is next. So that's 85033, the second top underserved zip code. Definitely higher need in that area as well.
And what are your cross streets?
So that's 67th Avenue and Indian School.
Okay.
So a little more West Valley on that one.
Okay.
And then our newest one is right next to GCU, 27th Ave and Camelback.
Nice.
And that just opened 6 months ago. So we're excited to be now in West Phoenix as well.
How the heck, if you aren't accepting government money, are you guys expanding like this and thriving? Especially with the need
I'm
being
tired.
expensive.
I wear a lot of makeup under my eyes, actually. No. Yeah, it's been a super hard year, I will say. COVID brought on challenges that we just had to, you know, okay, what's going to be best? And yeah, the launch of our 3rd location was in 2020. And I'm like, okay, let's just keep doing it. I mean, what a better time to open a brand new center during a pandemic when, you know, lines are so
more
long.
People need.
Yeah, so, you know, honestly, it's just a privilege. We're very good planners. We're very responsible and resourceful with every single dollar. We had the money raised from an event last year. So we just continued on with construction in the building and the retail space, and people were building still during, you know, those times.
It's amazing how much building is.
Yeah, so we were able to do what we had to do, and then we fundraise year round to make sure now the product is on our shelves in our mini mart and in our clothing boutique, and that does take a lot of work. But I think I was telling you even before we started, the community has really responded during the pandemic. They are hearing about the need, whether it's, you know, on a podcast like this or it's on the news, and they're actually like actions happening immediately. And I'm like, this is so cool because we're basically a shopping center, a grocery store. So we're open 6 mornings a week, all of our centers. So we're empty like every other day, and yes, product has to come back in. So raising those funds, using our partnerships to make sure that you know, food is on there, hygiene is on there, and there's been some hiccups. You know, the food industry's, you know, definitely had some challenges. So that comes down to us, and like, sorry, that's not available. Sorry, peanut butter, yeah, good luck, or you know, canned corn, yeah, okay. So I mean, we have to then, okay, go find these products that our clients, our guests are actually wanting. Yeah.
Wow.
So let's talk about your fundraising. What type of fundraisers do you do? Types of events do you offer?
Yeah, well, virtual now, right? Everything is pivoting. And we are usually about 2 events a year. We do a 5K race, usually in the fall, and it's usually with a partner with another organization. So we like to piggyback and partner. One of our pillars is to be a good partner back to the community, whether that's an organization, whether that's a business, whether that's people like you guys. We just want to help share everyone's mission in life, right? So we'll partner with a 5K, walk or run, and then we used to do bowling until a year ago, and we had to kind of scratch that off because no one wants to put their hand in a bowling ball anymore. And I'm okay.
I will. Bring back bowling. Bring back bowling.
Maybe
Love bowling.
My kids love bowling. Bring
Okay.
it back.
Now our next bowling, striking out bowling, you're
We're in. 100%.
The team is right here.
Yes.
So
We're in.
We will live podcast it.
well, and you mentioned your kids. Like, we like family friendly events. We just honestly,
There's not many of those
we're
anymore.
not gala people. It's just, but you know, we want to teach kids how to give back too. So you can enjoy a fun bowling afternoon, and we can tell you about, hey man, we are raising money to feed kids, and that your kids can understand that concept.
Yeah,
Super
I love
easy.
that.
Keep it super simple. So now we're doing virtual. Now we are doing AZ Gives Day, which is coming up on April 6th. So I would love for everyone to jump on azgives.org. And it's not just Harvest Compassion Center, but it's hundreds of nonprofits in the Valley. And we're coming together for 24 hours of giving on April 6th. Our goal is to raise $115,000 to make sure those 3 centers have product through the summer. And that's what's going to take. That's why the number is so big.
Okay.
Because we can't have any, in person right now. We're just going to kind of wait. We don't want to lose deposits, have things pivot again. So it's just been safer for us this year.
Okay.
And then hopefully next year we'll get back into some in-person stuff.
So do you offer food drives where people could just come by and bring boxes full of food?
Absolutely. Any day of the week you want to come by. Yeah. So it's about, you could do a neighborhood drive, right? You could have whatever, your kid's school or, your church or whatever. Absolutely. People are doing their own drives, but we're open for donation hours 6 mornings a week as well. So whether it's cleaning your closets out to bring clothes, whether it's doing a little mini drive, or maybe it's just you and your family going to dollar store or Fry's and getting some groceries and some food that your kids like that other kids are going to enjoy too.
You know what we're going to do is we're going to partner and add in for all of our small fitness events Harvest Compassion, so you can bring clothing, you can bring food, but you're coming to support children battling cancer. And then we've combined 2 great organizations.
Together. So now you're going to have to come
But it's not in competition whatsoever, right? Like, you can do both quite easily.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're in completely different realms.
Well, and that's what we do. We work with kids that have illness. We work with foster families. We work with men's transitional housing. We work with, you name it, domestic violence abuse. We work with all these people. That's how this works, which I love your podcast of, asking people like us to come on and share, because if I have a woman that comes in who's going through a tough time at home and maybe experiencing abuse, I know who to refer her to, because it's not about just feeding them, it's about actually loving them. And loving means I sit down, I listen, I make new friends. Every morning we're open, and then once you're ready to open up a little bit, I can say, okay, hey, would you call my friends over here? Like, we know that.
We would love for you to get in touch with them.
We want to be that support system that can cheerlead them on to whatever that might be, or hold them accountable too, right? So you're looking for a job, and I'm like, okay, great, here's a job fair I just got from so-and-so, make sure you go. And they come back in 3 days to shop again, and I'm like, hey, how'd it go? Because we put notes in their account, and they're like, oh, I didn't go. And then we can be like, well, why didn't you go? Because no one's holding accountability to our families sometimes. So it's about, oh, hey, you're gonna check in on me. I said, like, hey,
someone
we're
cares.
friends.
And are they always surprised by this?
They are completely surprised. They're surprised that we remember their name next time they come in. They're like, how do you know my name, Nicole? I'm like, well, okay, I'm cheating. It says right here on your account. But I'm like, yeah, and I think your mom was sick, and I think we prayed for your mom last time. How's your mom doing? And they're just like, they kind of are silent, because they're just like, they took time to like make notes on that, because again, nobody sees our families a lot. No one cares. And so again, they might have to just sit there and just listen to their story. They might want to just kind of, get some stuff off their chest. And then depending on how long our line is, now we got to shop. I'll come back around to you again, and we walk people out to their cars. We load the groceries up for them. It's about first class service. So a lot of times my volunteers are in the parking lot, just chatting away. And I said, like, are you good? What's going on? They're like, no, we just had a moment. They opened up out there because it was more private, so we don't know where it's going to happen, but it's about making new friends and that relationship, because if they don't trust us, then we really have nothing. But if they trust us, they will tell us all of their needs and be all in.
See, this is what I love so much about what you're doing, is that you are literally here to just genuinely help people no matter what their scenario is, and you want to be there mentally for them, you want to physically make sure that they are fed, and you want to give them a resource to whatever it is that's ailing them, right? Maybe it's a job fair, maybe it's
healthcare, housing needs. Absolutely. Well, the goal is to make traction here, right? I'm kind of like a list person, and I love like getting things done and accomplished.
You guys are twins.
Spreadsheets,
checking
things off, crossing them off.
Just have a whole spreadsheet
day. The joy of my life.
Can't everyone be like that? I tell my husband that all the time. He's like, you're crazy.
That's what Mom says.
I'm big picture, and she's like, and here's the list of everything that's getting done. And I'm like, okay, we're like the perfect marriage, but
it does.
I hate spreadsheets.
Yes, you're the visionary, you're the dreamer.
I'm like, can you just look at the spreadsheet? It'll tell you.
Yeah,
I know. I'm like, can you just tell me, because I don't want to look at the spreadsheet.
Isn't it hard, right? It's hard
but
sometimes.
it's right there.
And I took 2 hours to make that spreadsheet, right? Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is. It's about, doing the mission together and holding these families. And, it's really like teaching the families. You said you wanted this as your goal. Well, here's how we get there. And we just baby step it. I mean, truly, the first thing when someone comes in is we're going to give them our compassion bag. It's our black bag. And that's our first part of our partnership. And we tell, if you were shopping with me today, I'd be like, I'm going to give you a shopping bag. You're going to fill it. We don't ever choose your food, your hygiene. I mean, this is dignity and shopping at the best, right? I don't know what you want to have for lunch or dinner, right?
Or if you're allergic to stuff.
Absolutely. There's health needs, there's calorie counts, absolutely. So people are looking at labels and then we're not wasting product by doing it that way as well.
That's true.
Yeah. That bag though is, hey, we're not going to fill bags of food and just give it to you and then you go home and say, okay, great, have a good one. We are going to, this bag you bring back when you come back and shop, if you have to come back and shop again. So you now have a responsibility. And we tell them, we're partners in life. Like they're kind of like, okay, keep talking. This is kind of weird. You're the only ones that do this. But we want to make them feel ownership of the Harvest Compassion Center process. And then as we can baby step life with them, now we say, okay, hey, volunteer time. Or, they might come back now every month, and then it's maybe once every quarter, and then once every 6 months, and then once a year at Christmas we see them. And I worked the desk last December, and there were so many families that came back, and I'm like, oh, it's been almost a year since we've seen you, and holidays are tough because budgets get really tight just because it's holiday time.
Right.
And I'm like, why haven't you come seen us? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm actually doing better. I'm like, well, that's good, but now you're now a volunteer. They're like, you want me to volunteer? And I'm like, why wouldn't I want you to volunteer? Who better to be our
Absolutely.
in a family that's walk this? I go, now you have a responsibility to, kind of pay forward and give it right back to families.
So great.
So we're gonna challenge people. We're pretty black and white, and we're gonna be like, hey, this is your responsibility now. And that's how we make traction. That's how we start to get families out of that spot that they're in into self-sufficiency, right? And then again, we have a support system that we're not going away. We'll be here forever. You want to come back in 5 years? Hey, we're still going to be here.
And that's kind of nice in the back of your mind to just know that even if I hit my worst days again, I know Harvest Compassion is going to be there to help me.
And that happens all the time. People, I made the mistake oh, you're early. And they're like, wait, no, that was 2 years ago in May. You came, I'm like, my bad. I look at the year. And then they're like, yeah, no, it's been a while. And yeah, they're having a rough patch again. And I said, great, now you come in and you see us again. And I'm like, hey, you have that bag? They're like, okay, it's been 2 years, I'm going to give you a pass on that. But they're like, and some actually do. Some after not being in, they're like, and I have my, and they're so happy too. I have my bag. I get to celebrate. And I'm like, you get a gold star today. You are awesome. Extra loaf of bread for you because you are rock stars. So, so it's just, again, they're taking pride in what we've, put out there. And that's something to be, to have, be happy about.
Deal. Yeah. It's a really big deal. So on average, how many people are you guys serving per day, and how many volunteers do you have?
So between the 3 centers, I'll tell you per week, we're about 125 families, 6 mornings a week. Our 3 centers are open different days and mornings, some overlapping, and sometimes 2 centers open on one day, so just based on kind of the needs of that community. Okay. So yeah, about that 125 max out much. Now our busy times, like holiday times, right when the pandemic hit, it was more like 200 families a week, 250. So we're preparing for kind of not the worst, but then maybe the really busy long lines again. There has been some relief with the stimulus coming out, things like that. So that definitely has helped some families, but rent is really expensive, right? So we want them to pay their housing. We want them to stay in their homes. We want them to have transportation. So if we can relieve that budget where that food and the hygiene and the baby, diapers, hello, right? That's a big
stupid expensive.
That's a lot of money. So we want to help that still, and we want to say stay in your home. Do not let your rent go past, because if they're out of their house, 2 years to get back into something. So we really want to try to to keep them there. So, but we're definitely it's a little bit slower right now. And then it's again, what is the government doing with some of those programs? And then what does the media talk about? People still are very fearful of COVID. They don't have insurance. They won't go to a doctor. They won't go to a hospital. They'll just stay inside. So it's kind of some generational fears and some taboos, I guess, for some communities and some races that they're going to do things a different way. So we try to adapt to their way so they feel comfortable and safe all the time.
So what have you done within the centers to be more, I say, COVID friendly?
Yeah, CDC Compliant is what I've been told for now. I think 11 months, and no more podcasts and Zooms about all that stuff, man. It's been a lot. We really pivoted immediately. I think the first notice I got was actually from a coffee place. I'm like, what are they talking about, a virus? And I was like, okay, if they're paying attention, we should pay attention. So honestly, I just jumped on it within 24 hours. Yeah, we got masked immediately. We gloved up immediately. We already clean. We are beyond clean. So that part was like check. But now we have like cleaning stations. So we're even like cleaner than we used to be. But our model is we have personal shoppers that handle the product anyways and load your cart as our service. So we didn't have to close our doors because people weren't touching everything anyway. So we really just kind of had to figure out how to touch clothing again. And so our guests glove up to touch the clothes in the boutique, and then they can deglove immediately. So yeah, making sure, and then the distancing, which is difficult at times, but taking half our chairs out in the lobby, having lines outside, and just, verbal reminders all the time. Can you guys back up? I go back in, and they kind of scoot back up again. So I said, all right,
it's not natural.
It's not, and we do have people that actually are high risk. And so we did some drive-throughs in kind of the middle of 2020. We had some veteran drive-throughs. We had neighbors shopping for neighbors. So we had other churches and some organizations. Actually, we pre-bagged some food because we can't transport the food, but they can. They're like, hey, can I get 20 bags here in this little like gap? Nothing's by them. Can I? Absolutely. So we were able to really have new partnerships, which is really cool because we love that piece of what we do. Yeah. And then we could supply the product and they got to do the whole delivery system. So we'll kind of always try something once, I say. And if it totally bombs, then we won't do it again. But I think every single person and organization we work with, they were amazing. The families got cared for. And our families appreciate the high level of cleanliness that we do because they feel safe. And they've said so many times, I sit in a chair, I get up, you wipe it down immediately. And that's just what we do. Our volunteers on it, between every bottom that sits down. And they're like, thank you, because that shows that we care about them. So they're seeing our effort of just another extension of how we love you. So that's been really nice to hear back because it does take a lot of extra work. And who needs more gloves and masks? But we've also gotten those donated from other organizations. So again, sharing the load with that for sure.
That's really great. So let's talk about your big fundraiser that you said really funded this new center. What was it? How did you pull it off? How much money did you bring in?
Yes, we had our Feed One Community Breakfast last February, so 2020. And then literally 2 weeks later, it was like, hey, there's a virus. We're like, oh, thank God we had that. Yes. 250 in a room hasn't happened, I think, since then. So, we raised over $100K for our new West Phoenix location. We had amazing sponsors for the event. Channel 7 was a huge part of that. Brad Perry was our MC. Had a couple fun live auction items. So it was really fun. That was actually our first breakfast too. We just want to try a different model, and it was kind of a Thursday morning, get them in, get them out, and then you got stuff to do today, right? So we don't like to waste time. I'm always like, okay, I want to tell you what we're doing, but then I'm busy too, and I know
speak
you
our
guys.
Language.
Yes, yeah. So hopefully next year we'll be able to have that.
I was going to say, is the breakfast something you'll bring back?
I would love to. Yeah, we would love to.
How many were in attendance?
We're about 250.
Amazing.
And the idea when you have those type of events is bring in half the room, be brand new people.
Yes.
So it's like I have champions there who love us, who are been with us for 10 years.
They're your loyal. They'll show up to anything.
Absolutely. Which again, thank God they show up, right? Because I'm like, who's gonna fill 20 tables? That kind of stuff. But then I want you to bring, I always say kind of like new blood. Bring someone new in because they just don't know. And how many times we're like, I had no idea, or like I live 5 minutes from your North Phoenix location. I've been there for 30 years. I'm like, I know, we're hidden by Spencer's. Come see us, And they're like, this is amazing. So we really just use those chances to have those events to kind of, do that. And then our other online events are peer-to-peer a lot. So it's about you telling your family and friends. And honestly, these big amounts of money are raised by $25 at a time, $50 at a time.
Do you have Facebook fundraising?
We do have that available. So
that's great.
You can put your birthday up there anytime you want. Just throw it out there.
I know, or just a random day. Like, this is what I'm doing.
Absolutely, and that's what we're going to use for April 6th on AZ Gives Day. We'll also have a little mini one on Facebook, just so people are be able to share that and know about it. But it only costs $28 to feed a family with Harvest Compassion Centers. So that's not that much, right? That's kind of an amount that for the most of us can be like, okay, done, one family fed, right? So we have a Feed One program, and so our ask is that you will feed one family a month and do that $28. So on AZ Gives Day, the message is really feed one family, and if you can do more, great, feed 2, feed 3 families, do 56, and do that. And we're also having matching money on April 6th. So we are almost to our goal of raising $50,000 in matching funds. So every time you do feed a family, it'll be automatically matched and another family gets fed.
That's so amazing.
So that the momentum, the traction in that, and people love to know, great, I can only give $20, which is awesome. I love that, right? Every dollar is important, but now it's going to be $40, and that's a good chunk of change to make sure families.
How are you promoting it?
Online, this podcast. Thank you so much. Perfect timing. Yes, our website online, AZ Gives, helps us promote as well. Okay. So the media will start talking about it pretty soon here, probably right after Easter. They'll kind of get into the whole, all right, now we want to give and spend this 24 hours. And then all of our centers. So we have 100 or so volunteers every week. So we have morning huddles every week. So we can really keep our volunteers in the loop and send some emails out as well. So
how big is your email distribution?
We have about 3,000 on our list right now. So we will send out a lot of emails coming up. And then a cool thing about this is, I'm sure you guys know about the Arizona Charitable Tax Credit.
Yes, I was just going to ask you if you guys were a part of that.
So it's like, we are, absolutely. So we're the 400, 800 max, just so everyone knows. We're in the general category. And Mitchell Swabic Charities, Inc. is our parent organization. That's the nonprofit I started with my parents that fully funds Harvest Compassion Centers. So our official EIN name, you're going to see that when you do that. But we have our code and our number all on our website, harvestcompassion.org. And then you can give on April 6th, and actually you can get 100% of that back, right, with your tax credit. So it's kind of it's just an easy, and it works, I promise. I've done it for 5 years in a row. Year 1, I was like, I'm not telling anybody, because what if I don't get this money back, So I got my check.
Gets it.
Yep, I took a picture and I was like, it's real. The government gave me my my taxes back. So yeah, what better way to, right?
Well, and then you know where your money's going.
Absolutely.
Right? You're going to write the check regardless. It's just you get to control who gets it.
And we're going to spend it immediately on food and products. So that's going to go right into our food budget. 100% of that goes into our food budget. And we're only buying food and hygiene items and some baby items. We don't buy clothing. All that's donated from the community, 100%.
Do you have donation drop boxes, or do we come to a center to drop?
Come to the center. Yeah, come to the center. Go to our website again. Whatever location is closest to you, and then you can see what days they're open a week, and then you can drop in any time. Yeah.
I just did a huge clothing drop, and Big Brothers Big Sisters. I'm a big sister.
Oh yeah.
They've got clothing drop-offs, because what they do is they take the clothes and then they partner with a consignment store, and then all of the sales from those specific donated items come back into the organization.
Yes. Well, we work with them as well, so you probably don't know this because they're, about a year now. They are our recycle partner as well. So yes, their program is amazing. I'm glad you're a big sister because we love them. So we will sort your clothing, and if you donate a shirt that has a hole in it, we will not put it out in our boutique. We won't take time to wash it and iron it and tag it because it has a hole in it, right? And nobody wants a shirt with a hole in it. This is common sense, right? So we recycle it because all cloth can be recycled still, and our partner is Big Brothers Big Sisters. So we're one of their largest partners actually in the Valley.
Who knew?
Because
this
we
is great.
Kept taking donations in when everyone had to stop because of COVID. Because no one, I really don't think anybody launders their donations. I think we're the only person in the Valley.
I do it before I donate.
I do too.
Thank you, because you saved us time.
Otherwise, I just think it's gross. Why am I going to give you dirty clothes?
Can you tell everybody else to do that?
Weird. I cannot imagine donating dirty clothes.
How about donating dirty undergarments? Those are really fun bags. Yeah. So
no,
I know.
Back to Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yes, I know.
In here.
It gets a little crazy sometimes, but we laugh. We laugh a lot, and then we keep on moving. But they are amazing, and they'll pick up from all of our centers about 5 days a week. Actually, that's how much we're doing. And just to give you an idea, half of our donations for clothes are good and half are bad. So we do have to kind of get 100%.
50%.
Oh, absolutely. And then the other, it's amazing stuff. I mean, I have volunteers straight in the boutique going, can I like come shop here? Because this is like name brand awesome stuff. I go, that's what we want. That's what our families deserve. They don't get that anywhere else. And it's free here. Like they gotta pay for it at the resale shop, right?
Of course.
So, and then we get to work with Big Brothers and Sisters. And that supports their program. They give us a couple of cents back, and that goes right into our food budget. So,
oh my God, I love this synergy. That makes me so happy.
It's all a win-win. It's all a
Laura
win-win.
Capello is such a dream to work with. I love her.
Yeah.
She was actually our inaugural guest.
She was.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I had finally gotten my match. I had applied in the end of December of 2019. All of 2020, it was like, what's going on? And then finally, 2021 hit. So like, you're matched. I'm actually hanging out with her today.
Oh, that's awesome. And I mean, that's what we love. Kids come in our centers every day. We have kids play corners. Some of our volunteers are like, can I just go play in the kids play corner? Can I just go hang out with the kids? Like if we're slow. And I'm like, absolutely. And I see like, you know, adults and like, you can tell like they love kids. They want to be there. They'll sit there for 2 hours and read books with them and, you know, play toys and cars. And then all of our kids go home with those books and toys every day they come in. Those are all donated as well from the community. We're all sanitized and clean. And no, they get to keep that. So then I have like a volunteer go, okay, let's clean up, guys. I go, no, they get to take those books home. Again, I taught English. I want you to hold a book and read, right?
Yes.
So we love just promoting, and then, you know, English learning as well, which is a huge
So we
need.
can drop off books and toys.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so tell us everything that we can drop off.
So it's all your food items, perishable and non-perishable. So if you have a lemon tree, grapefruit tree.
Oh, thank God, I have 4 orange trees.
Yeah, usually you have like 1,000 oranges that you don't need. You need 4, right? So that all can come in. We have freezers and coolers, so we're good in all of that. Okay. Full-size hygiene, as well as your mini-size travel stuff, because we do hygiene bags for those that are on the street right now, or in their car, or, you know, motel living right now. And then all baby items. So not only toys and books, but then, you know, if you have a high chair that is in great condition, we can find a home for that.
How about a pack and play?
Yes, pack and play, strollers, type of things, absolutely. And then always diapers, formula, wipes. Wipes and diapers are gold. I call them gold in this day because it's hard to find at a low cost for those items. So
on those, do you need it to be a certain brand?
Nope. We love to have every brand. And with formula too, it's so hard because there are, I think, 1,000 brands now. And I'm like, which one? So we will be reading labels like we mentioned and finding for that particular baby. And then if we find that specific for that mom, if we have 3, okay, you take all 3. I can see your baby here. We know it's being used properly, etc. So, and then all the clothes items. So we can do a couple small home items, but we just tried it. We were out of space, honestly. So, but if we get, you know, a throw pillow in or a picture frame, you know, things like that, we have kind of a miscellaneous section that people can grab some items from that. We had some stuffed animal dogs. Brand new that came in. We only do brand new stuffed animals now because of COVID. So just put that out there, disclaimer. It's a lot easier that way. And I think like even adult took one of these. There's this cute little puppies like, well, can I have one too? And I'm like, of course. Like there's not an age limit for, you know, a dog that's, you know, stuffed animals. So you never know what they're going to really like. You know, I've got one guy that buys brand new watches online and he gets a great deal on watches. So we call him the watchman. And he's like, where do these keep coming from? And people don't ever get a brand new watch. And I had one guy come in, he puts it on, he's tapping his wrist and he's like, Nicole, it's broken, it's bad, you know. And I'm like, so you had to, you know, push a little thing on the side and then it'll start ticking. And he was probably 55. He'd never had a brand new watch, didn't know to push in the side. So that's when you learn, like, you got to baby step it. Then they're like, oh, okay, oh good, you didn't lie to me, okay, you know, and just show them how to set a watch, you know, which is kind of, I guess, old school now, but it's, you know, people, they're like, wow, and then they kind of like wear it proudly, like, you know, like this is a brand new item on my, and it's, I mean, it does not cost very much, and just this donor's heart wants to have watches, so we're like, awesome, you know, it's kind of different, and we love having the selection of different items, different brands, you know, scents, smells, so it feels like a normal store.
Are there certain donated items that you always need?
Yes, well, hygiene over food. I'm gonna just put that out there because people just tend to do more food drives. So I really promote hygiene whenever I'm asked that question because they just forget about that piece. And you know, if you're smelly and dirty, yeah, you're not going to work. You're not going for a job interview. You're not really going anywhere, and it just gets worse from there. So that is just really important as food and full size, right? Because if I have a family of 6 and I get a little travel size shampoo, okay, did that even get 2 people done? So we want that to last for the whole month. And then for clothing, it's always jeans and gym shoes. So, and men particularly. So I always say, moms, ladies, wives, grandmas, go into your other half's closet and clean out for them, right? Because they just don't clean their stuff out. And, you know, secretly you can donate, you know, men's jeans and everything. But gym shoes, any size. So men's, women's, or kids. And right now, as school is coming back, for a lot of kids who haven't had the chance to be in school, we're kind of doing like back to school now, which is weird.
Right, because the Phoenix district's been not in school for like a year.
I think PV too. So yeah, so kids' gym shoes. I mean, kids come in with flip-flops that are basically falling apart every step they take. And I've even gotten duct tape before going, this is just a quick fix. Take a seat in the lobby. What size are you? We're going to find you a shoe right now. So imagine when I come back and I don't have that kid's size. So we always want to promote, you know, gym shoes for kids, please. Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, so tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Social media, so Instagram at Harvest Compassion, please, and we'd love for you to follow us. We're really trying to ramp that up this year, and it's just been the COVID brought these platforms now to light, right? To pay attention to these,
right.
And we post our wish list items on there with Amazon, and we have a whole, and we'll update that almost every 4 days. So right now we're out of shaving cream, I believe. Yesterday the email went out. We're out of shaving cream. So great, we added shaving cream to Amazon, and then we're going to post about it too. So Instagram and then Facebook, it's Harvest Compassion Center / Mitchell Swabic Charities. You'll find us right away under Harvest Compassion Center, and then Twitter at HCC Feed 1.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. We've loved getting to hear all about the amazing work you're doing. Thank you, Nicolee.
Well, thanks for having me.